Good morning, everybody. John Piepla here from GAI Insights, giving you the GAI news, saying what's essential, important, and optional in your life. We have GAIinsights.com /articles, and you can see it. Today we have Adam, Akash, Paul, and Luda, the normal crew. A lot of interesting things. We have new models being released, small ones, and also a couple of case studies, or at least one, and new productivity tools for the creation of agents. So lots to cover. All right, Akash, here's the first one, please.
Sure, thanks, John. So the first one that we have for today comes from Alibaba. So they have launched Queen 3 Next 80 billion parameter model.
Yeah, so here we have the Chinese going hard at it. What do you think, Adam?
It's about what we would expect, I guess, out of next announcement out of them. It has a few innovations, I guess, that we've seen more at the research level that are now being integrated into the product, but that's exactly what you would expect. It's not really, I guess, smashing or innovative. They do a better job of using the mixture of experts where you only sort of light up the parts of the model that you really want to be using, which makes it more efficient. They have what they call hybrid attention, which is just another mechanism of it's all mostly, details down almost at the research level in terms of the improvements. The long and short is it's a little better than the other things before it, probably optional unless you're already using Quen and wanting to keep up on sort of the latest product announcement.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. As reading it, there's reminding me of if you ever read any business history on the optimization of petroleum refining. I mean, they started with all kinds of coarse capabilities and then just got stronger and stronger and stronger. You just see, these small engineering changes really making a big difference. Yeah, what do you think here, Luda?
Yeah, there are several very interesting innovations when they put the footprint of this model much smaller. They introduce the hybrid attention and so on. Those are changes that actually make the model as performant as it is. So it's probably optional for the overall, for the general leader, but I think worth noting that they're pushing the envelope on innovation.
Yeah, really crank it in here. What do you think, Akash?
I think optional for me, John. This is again a new launch every other day from the Chinese models, Chinese vendors, right? And not sure how many companies will be willing to use this one, but good innovations overall, but still an optional.
All righty, Paul, we're going optional with the engineering optimization here.
Yeah, definitely optional. But John, what's in the back of my mind is your ecological analogy of the Cambrian explosion here. So we had 12 species here, and 20 years later we have a million, and I think we're seeing the same thing here, where every node on that is its own little innovation sphere. So
yeah. I mean, when you think about, if you step back and you say, look, energy flops are like energy consumption and intelligence and mixture of experts and inference and things like that is like decentralized. So the idea of differentiation and improvement at the edges as well as the center, which we saw with biology, makes a lot of sense. Will happen here. All right, optional it is. Next.
Okay, the next one comes from Google, and it talks about their Vault Gamma model, the world's first most capable differentially private LLM.
Yeah, very interesting. Differential privacy, this notion of being able to show that it's hard to find out if somebody's data is in a data set, and then to introduce, targeted randomness to make that more difficult to discern and better privacy. What do you think, Luda?
I actually, even though it's research, I rated it as important. This is going at the privacy issue and giving us a predictable function, or actually a function to predict the loss, because as you are increasing noise to reduce memorization, you actually are decreasing the performance of the model in various ways. So what they've done is put together a function that I think leaders need to understand, that you put in a compute budget, privacy budget, and data budget, and as a result, it predicts the loss, and it gives you what the model size should be, what the batch size should be, and then the noise batch ratio, as this schematic shows. And if you scroll down to the 3 graphs that are adjustable, the animation there, if you down, Ankash, down this way, this one. Yeah, so if you move these on the left at the top, data budgets and privacy budgets left and right, you will see what's happening with those predictions. And they built the first model to try it. So I think it's the first step. It is research, but understanding that there is now a function that can predict those pieces is very important.
So making the case for an algorithm for model management toward a privacy goal is
Correct.
an important notion. Yes. It's been my observation that generally Luda loves the mathematical solution to a complicated problem.
Well, yeah,
Always a good thing. Of course. How can
I'm
you
a
not?
major in math and computer science.
Absolutely.
Linda, I guess I would ask, how many organizations do you think even in the near term are going to be in a position to take advantage of this?
All of them. I think
very quickly,
you need to push it. Yeah. And as a leader, you need to ask the right questions. And so you wouldn't necessarily put your researchers to do exactly that and integrate that function. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying understanding the concept and understanding the fact that it's predictable is the major thing.
An important consideration. Yeah, I can support that.
Okay.
All righty, Paul, where are you?
I'm on the optional side. Research, amazing research, but optional for the leader.
Yeah, I think I usually would support this as important, but today, no, it's optional. All right. Next.
Okay, the next one that we have comes from Meta, and Meta has launched a new series of efficient reasoning models called Mobile LLM R1. So they have base models and then they have fine-tuned models, and these are specifically fine-tuned for mathematical programming and scientific problems. So in this, they also compare their current model to almost set of models and small LM models by Hugging Face. So seems to be a new strategy by Meta. These are different from their Llama family of models and new set of models focused on efficient reasoning. So maybe they are targeting their user base on mobiles through this, but still yet to see what's the strategy behind this, because this is different from the Llama family, and we don't see any sort of chat-based interface here as well, because they are particularly fine-tuned for these mathematical programming and scientific problems. So maybe optional for now.
So optional for you, Meta, whatever, tens of billions of dollars later, they're pumping out this interesting model. What do you think you're at?
Yeah, I'm with Ankash on this one.
Optional. All righty. Luda?
Optional.
Paul?
Yeah, boys, Meta going through a lot of changes. I mean, they spent $1 billion in people and cranking out models, and we'll see what happens. But optional.
Yeah. If they can pull that off of bringing in best players and then creating a team while paying them extraordinarily more than they're paying their existing people.
It doesn't always work in sports, John. It's not for sure clear to me it's going to work in.
Well, yeah. I mean, and they in a big organization like that, you have more layers underneath that are unhappy. Sports team, you're just kind of dealing with one layer.
Oops. We lost our moderator. Okay, optional it is. Let's proceed.
Okay, the next one comes from AWS, and it's a case study about how Scalo uses Amazon Bedrock to query data in a multi-tenant environment while keeping logical boundaries.
Yeah, I was going to give this. Sorry, I got a technical problem there. I was going to give this an optional. It's there's a lot of interesting illustration of what they're doing and how this issue of dealing with unstructured data and doing better queries and so forth is very, very important. But I was really disappointed most of all in the fact that they had, as far as I could tell, no financial or process or quality measures in this thing. We just did a better job. They serve lots of people. This issue of taking unstructured data and helping people interact with databases around that. All these data lakes and data lake houses, if you will. Somebody actually can teach somebody how to open the data lake house and get in the boat and go in the lake. Anyway, be able to use the data in a reasonable way. But I was going to give this an optional. What do you think, Luda?
Yeah, I think I was on the optional side for the same reason you've stated, but it is a case that's pretty pervasive across industries where you just convert the text, the prompt into an SQL, the database query, and that actually unlocks a lot of information. And I think it is important if people have not done this is a good case. But I don't know. I was between optional and important for that reason.
All right, on the fence, Adam.
I was on the fence, and then I dug deep and looked down where it talks about the benefits, and there's just nothing quantifiable. It was all just a little too loose. Especially, I think we may hold Amazon. I may hold Amazon to a slightly higher standard, given what phenomenal use cases consistently come out of there. But I was optional on this one.
Yeah,
totally. But you have to. Every good case that you can carry.
Yeah, but Luda, I mean, this solution is turnkey, no code on just about every platform. Like I know for sure.
Yeah, that's
you can do it with your eyes closed on Azure. So
you can. But I don't know how many groups.
Just ask ChatGPT, and you can too. Yeah.
All right, Ankash.
Optional, John.
Paul.
Yeah, optional. I do like how though that Amazon's one of the few companies that at least doing some case studies, and we keep raising the bar. But I agree with Adam's comments that this is vanilla.
Yeah.
All righty, we're going for no hitter here. I don't know. We're the 7th inning. Okay. For all of you non-baseball fans, that's a big deal in baseball.
I get a global audience here, John. Yeah, I know what's Ankash, what's the equivalent in cricket? Is there a no score game in cricket?
A duck, Paul. When someone gets out for a 0, it's called a duck. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, and I always thought of baseball as cricket for dummies. Okay. Next.
Okay, moving on to the next one. This comes from Menlo Ventures, and it talks about AI's UI problem is actually a new era of software.
Yeah, a nice short article here asserting a new domain. What do you think, Luda?
Yeah, I was in between optional and important. This article makes a very good observation. So all of the AI Windows UI looks kind of the same, the blinking screen, right? And then it says, well, but actually, if you think about what's happening in the guts of it, it's in the middleware. So we progressed from simple Salesforce type of environment, right, to Slack. So Salesforce was essentially the UI on the database that you can query and put data in. Slack is an discussion forums on top of orchestration of people's discussions. And then to Cursor, that's sort of orchestrating the middleware to do it to use LLMs in a certain way. So it's essentially making this point very well that middleware in the current day and age became really, really important, and gives us 3 examples of just AI pilot, like a Cursor type orchestration and what's in the guts, what's in Lovable and what's in the guts. And Lovable is creating an app and putting everything so it's easy to prototype using the same Anthropic Claude LLM. And then the Cursor agent, right, that is for developers that are working with massive database of code. So it's just making a simple point, really. That's why it's optional, but it's well made and it's good to highlight. So that's why it can be important. But I was on the fence.
Okay, on the fence between optional and important. Adam, where are you?
I was leaning towards optional, but honestly, I wanted to hear if John was capable of eviscerating this from his business insight perspective in terms of decades of thought leadership and what they're trying to apply as a thin veneer on top of a fairly transparent concept before actually weighing in on my final judgment.
Yeah, no, I was leaning toward important as well. You know, it's pretty simple, but it gives people a way to talk about the differences in a way that's decent. I'm feeling charitable this morning. Yeah, not blazing new insight here, but kind of a nice language.
What is the insight, even if it's a simple premise that these AI tools are not only flexible, so it depends what you do with them to what product you make, but that it isn't so much the UI, it's what's happening under the hood. I mean, yeah, and
well,
what would someone take away from this?
The software, the whole nature of software is changing. You could not go under the hood, right? So you will have to experiment and use it before you know what's under the hood.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Lucinda's here saying, you know, it's a subtle point, the difference, and also for the in many of the implementation and budget processes inside large organizations, people don't really dig into the details of the different domains. And so if you say, hey, look, the reason this is complicated because it's a work layer and that's different than an interface layer because you have much more dialogue and interaction with the work, but it's also not like robotic process automation, which is the traditional stuff. Anyway,
John, let me keep stirring up. I'll make the case for Central. So I think in a lot of these organizations, they're looking at 2,000, 4,000 applications they already have today, and they're managing it. And I think one of the things that this article does is it helps continue and support the conversation of breaking up the full stack application thinking, saying a lot of those, your Salesforce will stay there as a source of record. You're going to put a new UI on it. And that's not how we've thought about software for last year. We like Salesforce. You throw that out and you put in a whole new stack of a HubSpot here. So this is saying, no, you got a lot of source of records here, and AI is putting an intelligence layer and a new UI layer. So your current stack of 2,000 applications are green screen in the sense that they're kind of the old way, yellow cab way. And this is a different way of thinking about driving value. That you don't necessarily have to rip out the application, but you're putting another intelligence and UI layer on it. And I haven't seen a lot of thinking around that. It also gets to, John, point we were riffing on this weekend is what are the new SLAs going to look like, Adam? You know, am I going to have an SLA from a level of intelligence or a level of quality of output here? So there's
like with Microsoft, you can basically pre-purchase and be guaranteed a certain amount of inference provisioned throughput units.
Well, no, not availability. I'm talking about
but that's the quality of the intelligence, right? You get those high-powered GPUs to do the inference, right? You're actually getting the power to.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I took your time. Let's hold off on the SLA because I got a whole bunch of stuff on that. But on this one, I'm making a court. I'm stirring up and calling this essential.
All righty. So yeah, I think the notion of provisioning and so forth with the PTUs from Microsoft, but. Interesting. Ashish is saying, look, most implementations are superficial, right? But they struggle with getting the end piece. That's true. I don't know. Where are you on, Akash, on this thing?
John, I was on optional on this one for a slightly different reason. So they mention in the end of the article that this prompt box is ubiquitous and it's not a sign of commoditization. But somewhere I feel that the current UI that we are using, it needs to change somewhere. So like I was working with Lovable and creating some wireframes a few days back. And every time I wanted to make a change, I had to write it down instead of just playing around with the boxes myself and making the changes myself, right? So somewhere I feel that the prompt layer is useful for creating something initial, but when you have to make changes, and this is not just one use case. I think you all might have experienced this with the use case that you have been working on, that somewhere it feels like that after a few iterations you need to take it in your own hands and make changes which are not very easy to do with just prompting it around. So I believe the UI will evolve a lot in the next few years, and we will see evolution of the prompt box to somewhat different, totally different, I would say.
Well, it is actually has evolved with a canvas that you can put side by side and start working with the code, even in Lovable, right? So you could, and it's evolving. But I think this makes the point that the software, the guts of the software, like Ashish is pointing, is in the middle, and you need to focus on it, and it's a different way of presenting it in a very simple way. So I can support essential, like Paul states.
Woohoo! Wow. Wow. We're going up this way. Okay.
No hitter to 2 essential votes.
Well, I don't know. Okay. All right. All right. Let's
It
give it.
really mattered. Alluded with the chalk. John's already got the answer before class started.
No, you guys convinced me. I was going to go important, but I'm going essential. All right. Essential it is. Next.
Actually, John, before we go there, if I can just do a rant on Lovable, I think Lovable is great, but I think we need to continue to help the non-technical people to understand Lovable is not an application. It's a prototyping tool. And people need to stop calling, I built an application. They built a prototype, which is wonderful, but that's very different than an application that's in production.
You know, I very much want.
that. Yeah.
Sorry, I very much want to have a learning lab about what are the challenges when you go from prototype to scale in in these AI systems, because that's obviously common sense will get you there, but the details matter. Okay.
John, before you go, it's actually more than just building a prototype. It's an MVP tool, right? So as you can, they essentially put all the infrastructure together to make changes much easier to what are the pieces of your application. So it's an MVP, it's a loop, right? And they specifically made it easier to do.
Oh, I agree, Lou. It's fabulous. It's just a fabulous MVP prototyping loop. It's not in production. I can go take it to my boss and transform things.
It's a show for first customer. When the customer says, "I don't like this," you go change it, and you show it to the next customer. Right? This is what it's for, and it's actually very useful.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to dive into it, but I thought prototypes were too. But anyway, whatever.
But that's good. But prototypes aren't production apps.
Yeah. Yeah, but what's a production app? Something you can use with a customer, or something?
No. Production app. No, wait, that's a whole nother.
Yeah,
right. That's what I'm saying. Let's not go there right now. All right. Essential it is. All right. The no hitter is gone. All right.
Yeah, smashed out of the park.
Okay. The last one that we.
Go for it.
Sorry. Okay, the last one that we have for today comes from Anthropic, and it talks about writing effective tools for agents with agents.
All right, Adam, what's up, babe?
So as people probably know, Anthropic makes Claude, which is probably the most used coding agent under the hood with all of these different coding tools out there. It's preferred by most of the devs. And with it also comes their model context protocol, which is their agent framework that enables agents basically to hand tasks to each other. And this is from them, who are in some ways the experts, some really interesting thought leadership around best practice for how do you actually make agents, how do you select the right sets of tools, how do you actually build and test and prototype these tools, and then how do you use the agents themselves to improve the tools that the agents are using. So it's a little deep down in the woods, certainly for a named executive, but I'd probably say it's an important read, something they could grab and share with their teams as they're thinking about how they actually can sort of implement some best practice around these sorts of things. So maybe lower back pocket important from a Tim standard.
Yeah, I just want to see the jeans that Tim wears. They must have like 17
Lots of pockets, yeah.
pockets. Anyway, Paul, where are you on this?
I'm with Adam.
All right, Akash.
Important for me as well, John. I think Anthropic's Claude Code has been the most useful agentic tool till now. And this is expanding the functionality of Claude Code. So important for that.
Yeah, we really do see the data all see to support that it's the most popular in software engineering. Ludo, where are you?
I was unimportant, but as I thought about it, they really didn't define what a tool is. And the whole argument is the tools are changing to adjust them from deterministic to non-deterministic. And this is how you do it. But they really didn't define tools per se and what that means in that definition. So I found it slightly confusing. And as a result, I went optional.
All right. I'm going to do a Solomon. We're going to split the baby here. We're going for important. Excellent. So we have a lot of announcements here. Paul?
Yeah, lots of stuff. So tonight's Learning Lab is the end of the B2B buyer. It is Rosemary and others are talking about how in the age of Gen AI, customer expectations have changed radically, and people are showing up with 95% of their shortlists already done here. That's one. Second, tomorrow at noon Eastern, we're having a preview of our conference, which is now just 13 days away. So GAI World, and we've got Adam flying in from Australia. We've got Ankash flying in from India. And just super excited about all the stuff going on there. So join us there on LinkedIn Live. And then lastly, our conference has got a lot of momentum around it. And here in Boston, we have Boston AI Week, which is 100 AI events throughout the city on a shared calendar. I know Luda's doing one with Women in AI and a bunch of others. Ramesh Roskar, MIT professor working on Nanda and the Internet of Agents. I just talked with him this weekend here. They're now doing a AI agent conference on Sunday. So just an explosion of great activity. So if you can get to Boston here, spend a few days here, come to our conference and enjoy a bunch of the other activities going on.
Excellent. Any other announcements?
Yeah, the group that Paul mentioned, Women Applying AI, is actually going live. This is the community that is essentially saying, okay, now we accept members.
That's great. Yes, well, thanks everybody. We have an exciting couple of weeks coming up here. Really get your fall going, and if you're planning for 2026, now's a good time to really get informed as to what the leading edge of the practical is. Remember that you can find our articles GAIinsight.com/articles. The newsletter comes out every day, and please do pass along to folks you think would be relevant to, either for the live show and or the newsletter. Yes, so AI's UI problem, it gets promoted to essential, one important, and the rest optional. All right, have a great AI day. We'll see you all tomorrow morning early. Bye-bye now.